It is a Hiddo Christmas special.
Yes, sir, it is.
This episode's dropping on Christmas for the public.
It's a gift to you all.
And I know some of you celebrate, some of you don't celebrate, but for those of you that are actually listening on a holiday,
hats off to you.
Hats off to you. Maybe you have some mental health issues listening to political things on Christmas. I'll give you a pass.
Well, it's cool. You could like wrap up your phone for yourself the night before, and then you could open it up only to press play on the new episode of Hiddo.
Exactly.
And then you can have your morning coffee and open the rest of your lame gifts. Look, that are lamer than this.
Look, it's a Hiddo Christmas, and I'm glad you're here, regardless of when you're listening. And I wanted to start this episode off with a Beyond Parody section.
Have to.
A big theme of this episode is going to be the gerontocracy. The rule of the old in this country. And what better way to start off the show about old folks than a story about old folks? Yeah. About old folks doing old folk things.
And who else but the oldest folk?
Yeah. and this is sort of breaking news. This came out today.
Okay.
And I saw the story in our Discord channel, which you also join. You should all join if you're not already there. We're almost to 1,000 people. But I saw this in our Discord channel. This news broke at like 10 o'clock this morning.
10 o'clock. This is breaking news. Wow. It's just like when Joe Biden dropped out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is just it blew my mind when I saw it.
All right.
It's like no fucking way. Let's just get right into it. So a Republican Congresswoman, Kay Granger from Texas, has been missing votes in the House since July because she's been in a nursing home.
Man. There's not many things that like live up to truly being like beyond parody.
Yeah.
But that's insane.
Yeah.
That's fresh out of the onion. Like I wouldn't believe it if it was in fiction. It's too deep of a satire to just ever be believable. Like it's in a nursing home.
Yeah, Kay Granger, she's 81 years old. She's been representing Texas's 12th congressional district, or that area of the state, since 1997. In January of 23, she said that she was going to resign, or maybe more recently, she said she was going to resign, and she's been absent from the public eye since July. She's been missing votes in the House since July, which is important because, slim margins and all that.
And then she got elected.
No, I don't. She didn't run for re-election.
Oh, okay.
But she's been missing from the public eye since July. She said that she was going to retire when her term ended, obviously, in January of 2025. But the fact that she was missing prompted the Dallas Express to start digging into where she actually was. And the reporter for the Dallas Express, and this is a quote from the story, eventually received a tip from a local resident that Granger had moved into an assisted living center specializing in memory care. After going to the facility in question to determine whether Granger indeed lived there, the assistant executive director confirmed, quote, "This is her home."
Memory care. Does that like imply that she has like Alzheimer's and she can't like function and remember things?
Here's another quote from The Guardian. Granger's son later reportedly told the Dallas Morning News that Granger was, quote, having some dementia issues and had moved into an independent senior living center with a memory care community on the same property. However, he disputed that she was being treated at the memory care community and said that she was a resident of the independent living side of the property. No, she doesn't have dementia. She just lives there. Like, you don't get it.
She doesn't have dementia. Like, oh my God, man. If you're old enough to have thrown rocks at the Little Rock 9 and you're also living in an assisted living center, you should be ineligible for Congress.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be. And if you allegedly maybe have dementia, you should not be allowed to vote. You shouldn't be allowed to hold a public position.
No, it's actually so crazy. And this, of course, this story comes out at the same exact time, a couple of days ago, actually, that we got the Joe Biden Wall Street Journal piece, basically laying out how he's been having the government sort of on autopilot since 2021. There's been like several times. There were several times throughout the piece where they were basically like, yeah, if he had a bad day, we would just cancel all the meetings. Bro was too old from the beginning. This country is just run by old people.
And he wanted to go again.
Yeah.
And there were people like, oh my God, what's her name that we talked about like last week or 2 weeks ago? She went on Pod Save America, the campaign manager.
Jen O'Malley Dillon?
Jen O'Malley Dillon that got out there and cried when he was ousted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
And the Wall Street Journal.
People were loyal to this guy. Kamala Harris didn't want to break because she was so deeply loyal to this guy.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal piece also said that he basically delegated all of his tasks. And there were several comments from like House members and stuff where they would deal with intermediaries rather than Biden. And they were like, the president should be doing this kind of stuff. So, we often say when you elect a president, you're electing a whole administration, but it really meant that when we elect Joe Biden. Because it was really Tony Blinken running foreign policy and that kind of thing.
It's kind of like both sides of this election are just two sides of the same coin, right? Like with Biden, everything got delegated out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone but Biden is running the show. And now that we're moving to Trump, Trump is running the show. And the only people who have positions of power are people that will only do the things he says they're going to do. Mm-hmm. We're just rocking with both.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the old allegations are weaponized by both sides of the aisle, right? Like the right attacks Joe Biden for being old. Valid, honestly.
Much more effectively, I would say.
The left will attack various people for being old. Trump has very many old moments. This lady has been out of Congress since July because she's in a nursing home, and that's all valid to attack them on. But no one has like a real substantive critique that we should not have people over 70 in the government whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm big age limit fan.
Yeah,
big age limit fan, man. Yeah. If you're retired, retire. If you're past the retirement age, you should retire. Maybe you shouldn't be collecting Social Security checks in Congress.
You should be jailed.
If you try to run for office past 65 and a half, you should be jailed.
There was also a piece there was a portion of the Wall Street Journal story that basically said that Jill Biden, his wife, was doing more campaign stops than he was, but the campaign team didn't want anybody saying that because it would make Joe Biden look bad. So they were basically like, yeah, don't talk about it. Because there was one point where Jill Biden's like, media people at one point were touting that she's going to all these different campaign stops because, right, that looks good. She has energy, that sort of thing. And the Biden team was like, the Joe Biden team was like, you got to stop. Like, you can't be saying this kind of stuff. It's making Joe look bad.
And these people cried when Joe Biden stepped down.
Yeah.
They should go to jail.
These are the people. These are the people that neutered Tim Walz. Yeah,
these people should be locked up in Guantanamo Bay. That should be a fucking crime.
Unfortunately, this class of people is getting appointed to lead the fucking oversight committee or whatever.
Oh, the transition team or some shit.
No.
The congressional oversight
the
committee.
Story a little bit later on. But yeah,
that's something.
We're run by a bunch of old people, and it's not great.
Man, wow.
We have a government run by people who would never have to live to feel the consequences of their actions or inactions.
And it's like officially you got to be 35 to run for president, but honestly, it seems like you got to be 60 plus.
You got to be 100, yeah.
You got to be 60 plus.
It's a pervasive issue in both parties. Yeah.
Holy shit,
it's real bad. Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Again, Hiddo Christmas special. And our Christmas gift to you all regular Wednesday Weenie listeners, is ad-free episode this time.
Oh, let's go. What did you know?
Gift.
What did you know? Yeah. It's fucking, oh my God, a boon to your ears.
Exactly. And if you want similar ad-free episodes like this one, then you should head over to Patreon and maybe give us a little Christmas gift.
We're giving you a little taste. A little taste of what could be.
Liberation. Freedom. Emancipation.
I hear
self-actualization.
The drums of liberation banging in the background. You know exactly what to do.
Now, it is a Hiddo Christmas here. This episode, of course, releasing on Christmas Day. And I will remind you all that although it's just Christmas, we still have our award show coming up.
We do.
It's the next episode. This is the last episode that will drop in the year of 2024.
Yes.
The next episode after this will be releasing on January 1st. It'll be our Hiddo Award show. We'll be handing out the coveted, despised, feared trophies that we've given out the last 2 years.
The coveted Hitonies, so. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So the link to vote for the Hiddo Awards will be in the description. Make sure you vote before we record next Sunday.
You gotta vote. You gotta get out there and make sure that your voice is heard. We wouldn't want a mishap happening like last year where somebody obviously should have won a category but another state did.
Yeah.
We don't want that happening. So this year, please, I'm asking you all to vote.
And it's a tight year. Yes. A lot of stuff happened.
I'm asking you all to do what you need to do. It is your duty as podcast listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you vote. It'll be in the description. You can also, of course, become a patron, get some Hiddo merch. Last chance, I think, for the 50% off Ground News. So if you want that, link is in the description. That's half off.
And it's a good program.
For a year plan, so get out on that if you're still interested. But anyways, as always, gotta read our 5-star reviews.
While we're still talking about people who did what they need to do or are willing to do what they need to do for this podcast and its community and their role within it, we got to talk about the people who are doing 5-star reviews. And you know what? I'm going to do something, I guess, a little meta, something I don't usually do with these 5-star reviews. And I'm going to tell you, all 3 of the reviews we got on Apple this week came in on Wednesday.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is Wednesday Weenies doing exactly what we told them to do.
That's Wednesday Weenies taking the marching orders.
That's Wednesday Weenies stepping up. You know what I mean? And Sunday Supremacists, I mean, you guys get a little grace. You know what I mean? Because ideally, maybe you've been around for a while, but for all of these coming in on Wednesday, point goes to you.
Yeah, all of them coming in on Wednesday means that the Wednesday Weenies are loyal.
They listened.
They listen. They have discipline,
and they heard,
and they're ready to take on this year of 2025.
Yes,
Sunday Supremacists. I mean, you gonna let yourself be shown up by these guys?
Exactly.
Come on,
start dropping reviews on Sundays. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But man, I'm very proud of the Wednesday Weenie side of the community right now.
Yeah, they locked in.
They really did lock in, and we're gonna lock in reading these with this first review. Hiddo University Supremacy.
That's right.
By Regal_91. Love these guys and all their base and comedic takes on the absolute train wreck the U.S. political landscape is. Since I work for a local mainstream media news affiliate,
trying to buy us out?
I'm saying I had to upgrade to Sundays to make sure I had the most current news, but totally worth because y'all keep me informed of the happenings outside of my periphery. I take back what I said about the Wednesday Weenies coming through. Sunday Supremacists, man. Y'all are killing it.
Yeah, so this person seemingly is using us as a source of news. And that, that's good because we're not like a third order source of news or anything like that. We don't get to news like a week late or anything like that.
We don't get to the news like a week late. We don't go through we aren't a tertiary source.
Yeah, exactly. This next review, Hiddo, #1 geopolitical podcast by RDKNS. They say, firstly, I condemn Hamas in all acts of political violence, including those of vigilante justice, apropos of nothing.
Excellent.
New Hiddo head here started tuning in a little before the election, and I love you guys. Keep up the hashtag real takes.
Always. We always will. This last review from Apple here. Favorite pod from Yeet 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. First off, I condemn Hamas and all political violence.
Thank God.
Unfortunately, I currently stand as a Wednesday weenie, but hopefully I will upgrade to Sunday Supremacists. These guys truly make my day whenever I see that they've dropped a new episode. Those two keep me up to date on the happenings in geopolitics. Love a pod. Keep it up. Excellent. This is a Wednesday weenie who stepped up and did what they were told. Frankly.
Yeah. One more review here from Instagram. This one had to be submitted via Instagram because, as we've said before, we can't read the Apple reviews that aren't in the United States for some reason.
Oh, that's true.
And this one's all the way from Italy.
Dang.
Fake country. European.
Yep. Hiddo International, I guess.
That already takes a hit to the sort of legitimacy, but we'll read it anyway because it's kind words. So Benny says, so much love for the pod all the way from Italy. Hey guys, just thought I'd leave a review since I left one in August and October, but it somehow never made it on the episode. I'm not sure what happened. Italy. That's what happened. Anyway, I found this show through TikTok like many other people and decided to give it a full listen and became obsessed even though I live halfway across the globe. I'm 18 and I voted for the first time in the EU elections back in June, and living under a basically fascist government, it is so refreshing to hear some good and nuanced leftist takes. Ending the review by condemning Hamas, all kinds of political violence and fascists. So much love. Keep doing what you're doing because it's great. I guess the sun never sets on the Hiddo Empire.
I'm saying, and although you're from Europe, ew, gross and bad, at least we're united in the fact that we voted for the people that lost.
Yeah, and good on us, I guess.
And that's just how it be sometimes.
I don't know. Losers don't get to celebrate. That's fine. Anyway, thank you all for the very kind reviews. Keep them coming, folks.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And before we dive into the happenings of this week, as we always do every single Sunday, comes out on Wednesday for Wednesday Weenies. I gotta say, they mentioned TikTok. Mm-hmm. They mentioned how everybody who fucks with us basically came from TikTok. TikTok's going away, folks. It's true. As of now, TikTok is going away. I think the Supreme Court is doing an emergency thing on January 10th. They're gonna hear the case or some shit. Probably come out with the decision after the 19th. So there'll probably be a little period of an effective ban in place if the Supreme Court rules well, which you can always bet against.
Yeah, of course.
But because of that, I cannot stress how important it is for you to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, I'm not going to call it X, Blue Sky, and everywhere else that we're active.
At least TikTok won't be deleted from your phone.
Yeah.
So if you have it on your phone, it'll function for a while, but if the ban stays in place too long, obviously there won't be any updates that the app will start to break down because it won't be supported and stuff like that. So maybe there's a slim chance that maybe the decision goes in a way that's good for the American people.
Yes.
But it's a slim chance.
Very slim.
So
it's the Supreme Court we're talking about here.
Emphasis on gauge statements of following us elsewhere. In fact, again, like I said earlier, we're almost to 1,000 on Discord, and we're almost to 10,000 on Instagram, which is kind of sick.
What can I say?
Instagram is a inferior platform for short form content, but we make do with what we got.
Come January 19th, I love Instagram Reels. I love Instagram Reels. You should scroll on Instagram Reels all the time. You should interact on Instagram Reels. You should replace your TikTok time with Reels time.
Yeah, and Meta should monetize the hell out of Instagram.
I love
Reels.
Meta.
For smaller
frankly,
accounts.
I love Meta,
So this episode, we'll be talking about, again, the Gerontocracy. We got some STRIKEWATCH. We got a story that Gage prepared a little bit later on that I have no idea what it's going to be.
#1 local news podcast. I'll leave it at that.
And that's so important. But first, we're going to start off with the government shutdown that never was.
Yeah, this was the big one to come out of this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the big piece of news, especially because we now have I think with clear eyes, we can tell that Elon Musk is the shadow president at this point.
Absolutely.
Well, we're doing a co-president situation.
It's so disheartening.
It's obvious. Like, obviously wealth has impacted or influenced the U.S. government for a very long time. You know, one might argue that liberal democracies are built on top of the capitalist system anyway, so it's kind of what they're there to protect. But I think it's more explicit than maybe it's ever been.
Yeah.
With the richest man on the planet calling the shots.
And it's like the oligarchs are supposed to be in the background.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like really be able to like point to all the ways that they are exactly influencing policy. The oligarchs aren't supposed to own the social media platforms and make themselves the highest followed person on those platforms and make so everybody can see what they have to say about how they're affecting policy.
The oligarchs aren't supposed to publicly make credible threats about primarying people that don't vote the way they want them to.
That's supposed to happen in like the background.
Yeah.
And
we're supposed to pretend we have a democracy.
Exactly. And it's just so crazy because this story also highlighted to me something that I think is equally kind of as crazy, and it's that since Trump got elected, Elon Musk's net worth doubled.
Oh, yeah.
It went up like $200 billion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane.
People are expecting big payouts from this guy because he's going to be running government policy.
Literally because he's been touted as the head of this NGO, like government advisory board that gets to basically direct government spending.
He's an unelected bureaucrat.
And we had talked about how like, okay, yeah, he's an unelected bureaucrat. Like it's an NGO. He has no real power unless people like choose to kind of bend to it. It's just a throwaway position. This week kind of revealed that maybe it's not a throwaway position. Maybe he really can affect some things.
Yeah, I mean, he has an enormous amount of cultural and social influence over the Republican Party itself,
which is crazy because he's so lame.
Yeah, like the Doge or whatever isn't going to have any real political power in the sense that it can't mandate anything, it can't set policies. All it can really do is make recommendations. But if the force of Elon Musk's demands is so powerful that the Republican Party caves whenever, and the Republicans have a majority in Congress, then yeah, he's the president. He just calls the shots.
It's good,
and that's a little disheartening. It's a little scary,
and it's funny because it's like, as we'll see, he's everything that they think George Soros is.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to say there was a headline that was like Mike Johnson takes calls with Musk and Trump ahead of government shutdown or whatever, and it's like if that headline was Biden takes calls with Nancy Pelosi and George Soros ahead of government shutdown. The conspiracies would be fucking endless.
Literally.
Can you imagine how the Republicans would treat that if Joe Biden was taking calls? George Soros doesn't even do anything.
No, Mike Johnson defended himself, I think, on Fox and Friends or something, and he said, oh yeah, I've got a text chain with Elon Musk and Vivek.
That's worse.
What do you mean you have a text chain with Elon Musk and Vivek where you explain why these things need to be in these bills? Like... Man,
it's so much worse. Like, I get it. Both parties are corrupted by wealth. The Democratic Party is corrupted by wealth. Republicans are corrupted by wealth. I get it. Like, nobody trusts the government. The wealthy have far too much power. But this is unique.
And it's like, to like the way that I understand it, George Soros just donates.
Yeah,
like
no,
he
does.
He just donates to PACs, and he just donates to politicians that are like ineffective or whatever. Sometimes some progressive people, like it's fine.
Well, yeah, and you can make the argument that that's a form of like electioneering that we shouldn't be comfortable with, and I'd probably agree with you. But that's how the system works.
But where I'm like going with that too, and where it gets even crazier is Elon Musk did all of that too, but more. He also donated, and he
set up a super PAC for Trump.
He donated the most. He organized a whole fucking canvassing operation that was like also a massive scam too. He organized a fake lottery that he's being sued over.
He bought one of the country's flagship social media platforms and turned it towards Trump in favor of Trump.
Like, He is everything they say George Soros is and so much more.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Man.
That's a sort of a prelude to what we're about to get into today. It's a Hiddo Christmas. It's a special Hiddo Christmas edition.
Yeah.
And we're going to get back to our roots in the sense that we're going to be talking about congressional politics.
It really is our roots. We're circling back to the Build Back Better era, where we're talking about bills and we're talking about what things got carved out of bills and taken out in the negotiations process.
And that's important. And we're back to 2021 version of Hiddo, except we're in the minority now.
Yep. And I love this negotiation process in particular because back then in Build Back Better, it was a negotiation process between Democrats and Democrats. Democrats and 2 Democrat holdouts, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a negotiation process between Republicans and Republicans. How the fucking tables have turned.
Here we are on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Here we are on the sidelines. So last week, there was a saga that unfolded regarding the funding of the government. For those unaware, the budget was set to expire on Saturday, December 21st. So the House, months ago, had already worked out a bipartisan deal that was assumed to pass before this deadline, which is why there was really no hubbub about the government shutting down, because they had a deal on the table. It was poised to pass. It wasn't really a big deal at all. But on Wednesday of last week, Donald Trump and Elon Musk both decided that they didn't like the bill. So they demanded that the bill be trimmed down from its 1,500-page length and that it include a raise to the debt ceiling that would last until January of 2027. This, of course, killed the bipartisan bill, because Republicans take their marching orders from Donald Trump and now Elon Musk as well. And again, I have to stress that the original bill was on course to pass.
It was negotiated.
Yeah.
It was done. Everything was essentially set in stone. The votes were there.
Yep.
It was going through.
Yeah.
Everybody was like kind of happy. You know how compromise works, and it was going.
Yeah, and I was listening to the AOC on the Majority Report, and she had said that the bill was going to be voted on, the funding bill is going to be voted on at like 1 p.m. on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever it was. And then in the time between that and the bill actually getting a vote, which was at like 4:30, all of this shit went down with Elon Musk tweeting like hundreds of times, and Donald Trump saying he wants an increase to the debt ceiling in the bill, which is a non-starter for a lot of different Republicans in the House. And it just completely fell apart in the span of a few hours solely because Elon Musk and Donald Trump were tweeting or posting about it. Gotta remind you, Trump's not the president yet.
No, Trump's not the president, and Elon Musk was not elected to anything.
Yes.
But he's fucking calling these shots. It's crazy too, because Elon, his whole thing was like, oh, there's a spending bill going through. I don't like spending, government spending bad. Let's reduce spending. Yep. Not really necessarily like targeting anything, especially he's just no spending, too much bill going through.
And his main thing was that the bill had too many pages.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a law.
It's a bill.
It's a funding bill, dog.
And it's like one thing that pisses me off about the whole like kind of like public discourse surrounding like really any congressional funding bill is that they always love to talk about the like little things like on the side too. And they're like, why should all these things be in the budget bill? It should just be a clean budget. What the fuck is a clean budget?
I think a clean budget is just no changes from the last year. It's
but they want a clean budget as in like there's no like what they call pork.
Oh
like,
yeah,
there shouldn't be things going to these states, but those things are federally authorized.
Yeah,
they need to be in a budget.
Yeah.
How else can Congress authorize various things like fucking $30,000 for roads in Michigan, $20,000 for the fucking bridge in Baltimore, if they don't authorize it through a fucking spending bill?
Yeah.
And this is like just like regular discourse between like people who watch the news and then form ill-informed opinions. They think, well, why can't this go through? Not everything can just be voted on.
Yeah.
You can't.
Oh, you're talking like when they try to call for things to be voted on individually?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of getting
That would take
at
up
here.
so much time.
Exactly. That's just not functional. You can't fucking do that.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off that that's where this discourse lands. And that's where like things like Musk's original critique is like, oh, it's too many pages, get credit from. That's what people take from that and where they go with it.
Yeah, and like 1,500 pages is incomprehensibly long.
Yeah.
Like that's not accessible for the average citizen. I would bet most members of Congress, if not all of them, don't read it before they vote on it. You know what I mean? Like they have their interns break it down into chunks and then report it back to them with like summaries and shit like that. And I understand the critique there, but he's just making an aesthetic argument.
Yes.
He literally posted a picture of a pile of papers that was the first bill next to the second bill. The second bill was like 100 pages long, and it cut a bunch of like essential things for like, as we'll get into,
Social Security.
funding for cancer research was one of them.
Children's cancer research.
Yes. which was it's silly. There's no actual critique here. And at one point, Elon Musk even argued, or he agreed with a post on Twitter that called for just shutting down the government until Trump takes office on January 21st.
He just said he tweeted straight up, no bills should pass until Trump takes office. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Fucking why?
It's a government.
It's got to run.
A Congress is elected for a term.
Yeah.
Like a full term.
So is a president.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, especially a bill like this, a funding bill. And it only funds until March.
Yeah, and the government shutting down on the 21st would have been catastrophic for the holidays because TSA would have stopped going to work. And people wouldn't have been able to fly.
Oh.
So it would have been really bad around the holidays. Like, government shutdowns are bad generally. Generally, they just like waste billions of dollars. The economy suffers. But during the holidays, especially when government funding keeps essential functions open, like airports. No, that would be really bad.
I think Elon Musk was also calling for what would have effectively been the longest government shutdown in American history.
Longer than Trump's
first shutdown in 2017.
Yeah,
because that one was what, 31 days or something like that.
Yeah, I guess it would have been longer than
Yeah. That's fucking love that.
Nobody pays the price for anything anymore. People just say shit.
It was either going to be the longest shutdown or the second fucking longest shutdown ever. And it's like, it doesn't matter all those federal workers that just aren't getting paid in that period.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter all the people that miss paychecks. Even though the paychecks are going to come, the back pay is going to come. People are living paycheck to paycheck. What about the service members that aren't getting fucking paid, huh? They love talking about the military. And I also got to get in here and say that the two things that were being demanded by Trump and Elon, completely antithetical.
Okay.
Elon is talking about we need to just reduce government spending. This bill is aesthetically so bad because of spending. And Donald Trump says, no, that's chill. Let me spend more.
Yeah, he said, let me raise the debt limit.
He said, get rid of the debt limit till, 27?
Yeah.
He made like 3 different statements like, oh, get rid of the debt limit till next year, 27, or just get rid of it forever.
Which is clear why he wants that. And he wants to do tax cuts, and you need to raise the debt ceiling in order to make that happen.
But it's like, those things don't work together.
Yeah.
Why do you need to raise the debt if you plan to cut unnecessary spending?
Like we've probably 4 times since this podcast has come into existence, we've talked about Republicans trying to crash the global economy through not raising the debt ceiling and using that as like a cudgel against Joe Biden and his legislative agenda. But now, suddenly, most Republicans are cool with it because Trump's like, yeah, let's raise the debt ceiling.
Most Republicans are like, yeah, we can completely get rid of it now.
Yeah, we can abolish it as a function of the government.
Which is like cool, kind of, but not when they do it. You know what? Yeah. I'll be honest.
And now the second bill that was proposed, the one that was cut down to 100 or so pages, included disaster relief funding for the recent hurricanes in, I think, Georgia, North Carolina, and that area of the country, and a raise to the debt ceiling. What's more interesting, though, was what was cut from the original package. And I'm going to read a quote from MSNBC. Quote, included among the GOP's cuts were all kinds of consumer protections, a bill to curtail deepfake pornography, restrictions on outbound U.S. investments in China, and a bill to secure semiconductor supply chains. Also, funding for, as we said earlier, cancer research and treatments for children was cut from the bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Unnecessary things, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
Completely unnecessary things. I also love the inclusion of just getting rid of the Consumer Protections Bureau. Just doing the Mark Andreessen thing when he was on Joe Rogan saying that the Consumer Protection Bureau exists only to make business harder.
That's such a baby's interpretation.
That's like a child reads like their first YA dystopian novel and they're like, oh yeah, this thing is called the Protections Bureau, but it's actually the Harm Bureau.
Yeah, it was like the 1984 Ministry of
Ministry
Intelligence.
Of Truth.
Yeah, Ministry of Truth. Yeah, exactly.
The Ministry of Lies, really.
Yeah. The cutting regulations on U.S. investments in China is interesting to me because that's just for Elon Musk.
Yes.
It's just for Elon Musk.
And, not to bring TikTok up because we're TikTokers.
Of course.
But to bring TikTok up because the whole reason that TikTok was a national security risk is because of China collecting data about what Jujutsu Kaisen edits I like over other Jujutsu Kaisen edits.
And then influencing your vote accordingly.
And then influencing my vote because, I don't know, they show me more with other songs. You know what I mean? That's why TikTok is banned. National security risk. It's not a national security risk when Elon Musk wants to send billions of dollars to some Chinese fucking company.
Yeah, I mean, he's using his platform to call for a different kind of bill in Congress after they already had a bipartisan one that failed because of him. And the new bill is trying to lift restrictions on an industry or trying to lift restrictions on investments that directly benefit him.
Yeah.
It's just oligopoly. I mean, there's no other phrase or term to apply here.
Bro should go to jail for that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, it's hard to know if this stuff will pass in another form or if it already has. I saw a lot of hubbub about the cancer treatments and research for children, which, obviously that is all valid. Yeah. Some people were saying that it passed in another form already or it was a part of a different bill. I don't know exactly if that's true, but you can reasonably assume that a lot of shit that's necessary was cut when they got rid of 1,400 pages out of the budget bill that was originally proposed. Now, the second one failed overwhelmingly, 174 to 235, which is nowhere near the 2/3 that you need in the House to pass a government funding bill. Musk tried to claim that Democrats voted no because they didn't want to provide hurricane relief. I'm sure that if you put a clean bill, if we're using those terms, in front of Democrats for more hurricane relief, they would all vote for it unanimously. This is obviously a lie to spin the narrative. Eventually, a bill did pass, so no government shutdown. The bill that finally passed both chambers was essentially the same as the second bill, minus the debt ceiling stuff, according to the Associated Press. So I don't know why, in the end, Democrats voted in favor of it, if it was essentially the same except for some minor tweaks and no debt ceiling. But it did pass. The government's staying open, at least until like March 31st or whatever. So that's fun.
I think they mostly voted for it just because they got to keep the debt ceiling expiring under Trump. I think they view that as like and they do view it as like some massive like political win that's going to expire under him, and he's going to have to raise the debt ceiling to do his tax cuts. But I mean, I feel kind of jaded about that. I think that's a good. I was watching some CNN this week, and the analysts were glazing Joe Biden, saying how this was such a brilliant legislative move.
He's got a command of the issues.
He's got a command of the issues.
He doesn't have a PhD in negotiation. He's just that.
Exactly. And the fucking negotiation process. He's doing this, and it's gonna bite Trump in the ass big time when he has to raise the debt ceiling. Nobody fucking cares.
Nobody cares. It's going to raise.
I don't know if I'm just jaded about it, but I don't think anyone gave a shit about the debt ceiling discourse under Biden. Clearly, that did not manifest in anything when it came to the election. It's happening in the first year, the very earliest that it can in his term. When it does happen, nobody's going to remember it by the time for the general later. Nobody's going to be held accountable for it. It doesn't fucking matter.
Congressional politics don't matter to the average voter. They don't care about the debt ceiling stuff. They care about a government shutdown just because that's big news and it looks bad, but I think it just reflects poorly on whoever's in charge. They don't care about like the whole speaker debacle with Kevin McCarthy and then eventually Mike Johnson. Nobody really cares about that. I've started to just kind of take the Occam's razor approach to this stuff. The simplest narrative is the one people are going to hear and understand. And if the narrative is the government has shut down as Joe Biden is leaving office, they're going to blame Democrats and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Even if it was caused by Elon Musk and Donald Trump, government shutdown, Biden's still the president for one more month. They're going to blame Joe Biden.
And it's like, this isn't Aaron Sorkin West Wing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only thing that matters that happens in Congress, other than like the minutia of like bills that pass that have effects on people's lives, is the message that you can make from it. And clearly, it's hard to make a message about the debt ceiling 3 years after some discourse happened.
Yeah.
Especially when people see Trump pass a tax cuts bill and their taxes go up, but they don't notice.
Yeah, and it's especially hard with this kind of stuff because both leaders, Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries, in the House, we're just saying like, oh, the other party owns the shutdown if it happens. And it's like, well, yeah, they're going to say that. So there's no real narrative to come through other than if the government shuts down, it's Joe Biden's fault. Yeah. Like that, I feel like personally that's all people would have thought.
I felt so jaded trying to like listen to any coverage of this or like listen to things that individual like. I saw JD Vance. I can't remember exactly what JD Vance said, but he was like walking out of the Senate and he was commenting on the fucking bill and he just lied.
Yeah.
He just told a bold-faced lie about some shit like, oh, the Democrats aren't doing this because they don't want farmers to have farm bill.
Yeah. There were some
like
subsidies. Some
I can't remember exactly what he said. That probably wasn't it, but it was along those lines. And it just genuinely made me so mad just how he just fucking lied. And he's been doing this whole fucking election, and it makes me mad that he's the vice president, even though he's not. They shut him the fuck up. Yep. And he should stay shut the fuck up. But like, man, oh my God, hearing that and then hearing Mike Johnson get out there and lie and hearing Elon Musk get out there and just say like, oh, the Democrats didn't want FEMA relief. Holy fucking shit. You told them to cut cancer research.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm not entirely sure why, like what was the motivation for Democrats eventually voting for it. If the bill that was cut, if the bipartisan deal was like decent enough, because it's Congress. You're not going to ever get anything good out of this Congress. If it was decent enough, why eventually pass the bill that's essentially same as the one Elon Musk wanted, except for the debt ceiling shit? I don't know what the point is there. Maybe Democrats were just afraid of being blamed for the government shutdown. Maybe they were given some kind of concession. I mean, not having to raise the debt ceiling is like, I guess, fine for the future narrative, but like, I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense to me what happened. The most important bit, I think, is that Elon Musk is shadow president.
Yo, absolutely. That is the biggest narrative that come out of this is Trump is VP.
Yeah.
Trump is VP.
So the government's funded. Strangely enough, the defectors on the second bill were mostly just Republicans. And these were it's like a group of 38 Republicans that are consistent on the debt ceiling issue. They said they didn't want the debt ceiling to be raised. And then I think on the second bill, they basically said, we're paving the way for the debt ceiling to be raised. It was
Chip Roy?
Chip Roy was one of them. But there was an AP article that essentially, I think the term they used was like a soft agreement. Mike Johnson basically saying, we passed this now, we'll raise the debt ceiling later type shit in the next session of Congress. So some Republicans standing on business on this issue at least.
Yeah, no,
cool.
I do think that's that's one of the things that I feel like will be interesting to follow as we move into Trump's fucking trifecta in government. Although they have, a 2-seat majority in the House?
One, I think.
I think
it's going to be one
in the House.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so they need Democrat support for things to do, but I do think it'll be interesting to watch the Republicans like Chip Roy, who seem to be genuinely principled when it comes to debt ceiling discourse and spending discourse. There is apparently a large holdout, about 40 Republicans, who are just averse to the government spending money.
Which, they're bad.
They suck.
The Freedom Caucus is bad, but I think inadvertently they've done some good.
No, yeah. Guys,
by accident.
2025 may be the year of silver linings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Libertarians, as always, just accidentally... well, I guess not as always, but sometimes accidentally doing a good thing.
Well, it's good when they stop bad people from doing things I don't like, but It's bad when they stop good people from doing things... Well, not good people, but when they stop people from doing things I like.
Being on the sidelines for the next few years, this is kind of how it's going to go. So we got to cherish the moments we get. But I want to try to summarize our thoughts on this whole saga. First of all, it does seem like Elon Musk is essentially the shadow president at this point. Republicans, at least in part, are taking their marching orders from Elon Musk. He used the platform that he purchased for tens of billions of dollars to sink a bipartisan agreement in the House for funding the government because he didn't like it. And then he essentially got the bill he wanted through Congress at the very end. And
it's also super important to note that Trump's team came out the next day and they're like, oh yeah, no, actually we were in control the whole time.
Yeah.
They didn't know we were in control the whole time. Elon Musk wouldn't have started tweeting that if we didn't let him because Trump agreed.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's good. It does seem like right now Elon Musk is functionally shadow president, but the true test will be when they disagree.
Yeah.
When Trump and Musk disagree on something or aren't publicly in agreement on something, it'll be interesting to see how much influence Musk actually has, especially because, as we've said, he's threatening to primary people that don't want to do the things he says needs to happen. So there's a big moneyed influence circling the White House right now, an unelected bureaucrat that's functionally, at least in part, again, calling the shots here.
Yeah.
And it'll be really interesting to see how this develops and how sick Donald Trump will get of Elon Musk and how quickly that'll happen.
I don't know. It looks like it's going to be quick.
Yeah.
The way that his team was talking, no, actually, this was all Trump's doing. Elon's the president? Nuh-uh.
Yeah, well, and it's okay, sure, Donald Trump can downplay Elon Musk's influence, but as Mike Johnson said, he's in a group chat with Vivek and Elon.
Where he has to fucking explain Congress's spending decisions to them before they hop on Twitter.
Yeah, if that's not undue influence, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Neither of them are elected, and they're in a group chat with the fucking Speaker of the House, the guy who's about to be leading the next fully Republican Congress.
And the only reason they're popular is because they want to bully scientists at the FDA.
Yeah, exactly. And they donated to the Trump campaign, of course, and sort of caved to him. So it'll be interesting. Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet, and to say he's an oligarch is, I think, an accurate description of what he is.
Especially when his money is so intimately tied to Trump.
Yeah.
And Trump being in power.
Yeah.
Literally doubled his money. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, as we already said, my second takeaway is sort of that the debt ceiling is going to be back in discourse for a little while at least. And now it seems they want to get rid of the debt ceiling because it suits them legislatively. I'll remind you all, the debt ceiling is the maximum amount the government can borrow to pay debts that it has already incurred.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that we are raising the debt ceiling doesn't mean that we are spending more money. It means that we're paying back money that we've already borrowed. And not doing that, or not paying back the debt that we've already borrowed, means we default on our loans and the entire global economy crashes. Worse than a government shutdown, I would argue, but it seems like we should have a long time ago gotten rid of the debt ceiling function within the government, but now Donald Trump wants to get rid of it because he wants to cut taxes for billionaires and make life a lot harder for immigrants and stuff like that.
He needs to cut the debt ceiling because when he does the Trump tax cuts and, I don't know, make billionaires pay $0 in any money that they ever earn, the government's going to have to borrow more to be able to just fulfill basic functions.
Yeah, that's how it works, right? There's going to be less revenue, so they're going to have to borrow more, unless he's going to cut some shit like Social Security.
Yeah.
Which I think I don't think he'll get away with doing that.
Yeah, which they're either going to have to do or they're going to have to collect that money in other ways. Guys, people say that there's only two certainties in life, death and taxes, for a reason. The government is going to get that money. And sometimes it's actually very good that the government does get that money. I'm not anti-taxes. You've heard our takes, but they'll do like Florida and just instill regressive taxes to make up for no income tax should things go that far.
Yeah,
the government will get the money that it needs.
I mean, there were already calculations on Trump's tax plan before the election, basically saying that's the opposite of Joe Biden's.
Yeah.
Like taxes will go up.
Saying taxes for us are going to go up to like $1,500.
Yeah. And everybody over like $400,000 or in the top 10%
Everyone over 360.
Yeah, will have their taxes cut. It's literally the anti-Joe Biden plan. It's
like,
the opposite.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It also just pisses me off that like there are so many like I guess people within the 1% that don't ever make enough money to be like mega donors like Elon Musk and other rich people whose names I don't know, but they're probably evil, that still want to do this. But it's like you donate all this money to Republicans, just pay your taxes.
Yeah.
You could just donate. You could pay your taxes and have more money in your pocket instead of donating.
Yeah, that's true.
Just pay your taxes.
I guess this is their...
Or like this stands for like the middle rich people, you know what I mean?
This is the one time where they're thinking long term. They're trying to buy access and that type of shit.
I guess.
Or maybe they just hate immigrants, love of the game.
That's true.
Like Luigi Mangione. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Now, the one debacle here is if Democrats are actually going to go along with getting rid of the debt ceiling and that requirement of the federal government. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle because if they get rid of it, it makes it easy for Trump to do all the bad shit he wants to do. There's like one less obstacle in the way. But on the other hand, if they don't get rid of it sometime over the next 2 years, whenever they take the House again, then it'll just be used against them again in the future. So I don't fucking know what they should do.
I'm pro getting rid of the debt ceiling. I just don't want Trump to be able to do the bad stuff. Yeah,
I mean, he still has to like pass a tax plan, but in the House it just has to be a majority,
a simple majority,
and they're gonna have a majority as long as the one person doesn't defect.
I don't know. Maybe the 40 people who are standing on business about debt would defect against a new tax plan, or I guess extensions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Yeah, we'll see.
That'd be cool.
I do wonder if they're gonna get rid of the filibuster in the Senate, though. There's
chatter.
Yeah, there's chatter about it, and they don't have a filibuster-proof majority. So how long until Trump's like, the filibuster was not in the Constitution. It was never meant to be a part of government. It's been bastardized. Makes all the leftist
We're getting
arguments.
rid of the filibuster for 3 years, and as a trial period, and then maybe it comes back.
Yeah, that would be a Trump thing to do. And now, lastly, of course, as we've kind of already said, congressional GOP doesn't seem to be a monolith. Yeah. It seems like there are some Freedom Caucus-esque holdouts that might be a trouble for Trump's legislative agenda. And I hope that Democrats exploit the schism leading up to the 2026 midterms, because that's going to be their next opportunity to take any semblance of power away from Donald Trump in terms of like the federal government. But we'll see. No,
absolutely. And I think that's the most interesting kind of development from this, and the most interesting thing to pay attention to as we go forward. And I have some quotes kind of pertaining this from what's Charlie Kirk's fucking thing? Turning Point USA.
Yeah,
TP USA had a big conference this week, I think. And there were a bunch of speakers. There was Donald Trump Jr. and Tucker Carlson,
hell yeah.
Tucker Carlson out there who have some interesting quotes pertaining to getting the members of the Republican caucus to fall in line. Trump Jr. said, "So we need everyone to do what we did over the last few weeks, call them out, call their offices, put on that pressure, make them feel the pain, I call it. I think Johnny Ernst learned this a little bit the hard way. ETP, education through pain. It's a very simple concept." Johnny Ernst was, Joni Ernst was like an anti-Trump Republican.
She's a senator from Iowa.
Yeah.
Who's at threat to be primaried.
Yes, and then got bullied by them, and then came out and was like, "Oh no, actually, Trump is like super sick. Trump is super sick. So it's just there's a theme throughout this entire conference of just we need to put on every point of pressure we can to get every single Republican to fall in line.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tension going on. And I just want to highlight what Tucker Carlson had to say about this. He said, quote, "Anyway, just make them obey. I think that's up to us. Don't be charmed by them. Force them. Spank them like the little bad little girls they are."
Come on, bro.
Thank you.
Tucker Carlson's got some fucking problems, dog. He keeps saying this shit in public.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Yeah.
What? Why are you saying spank them? I'm
Like
all
little
for
girls.
Jesus Christ. I'm all for pressuring elected officials, but you don't need to describe it in this way.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
He's got some stuff going on. I do think it's interesting, too. Bannon went on, and he just started talking shit about Mike Johnson. Yeah.
I wonder if that guy's living in hell.
Well, because Mike Johnson's job is genuinely at risk.
Yeah.
It takes, what, a couple people just to vote him out?
I don't know if that's the rule anymore. He might not have agreed to that. But if Trump and Elon combine their power.
Exactly. Like if Trump wants Johnson out, I imagine it will be pretty easy to get Johnson out.
Yes.
Especially with all the tension going on right now. But Stephen got on there and just made fun of him. He said in what MSNBC describes as a meandering speech, quote, he goes to the UFC fights, right? He's on the plane. He's walking in the UFC fight, right? When President Trump shows up to the UFC fights, it's like the Roman Coliseum. I mean, this thing explodes, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. He's there. He's at the Army-Navy game hanging in the box. He's always around. He's down at Mar-a-Lago. Just talking about how Johnson's just constantly orbiting Trump.
That's basically a description of Elon Musk.
No, literally.
Musk
it's fucking that's all these guys.
Yeah.
That's Bannon too, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's rough out here, but I think that's is that everything?
Yeah, that's
on the
everything.
Government shutdown here?
He's just out there making fun of Mike Johnson for constantly being with him, but failing to enact the MAGA agenda, which is a crazy statement to make considering who this guy Mike Johnson is.
Yeah, Mike Johnson, as we covered when he first became the speaker, wrote op-eds, pen to paper, about how gay marriage was bad in like 2004. Put his name to it.
Jesus.
Yeah, so to say that he's not far right enough, he's not MAGA enough, that's an interesting take.
It is.
But I guess we can only wait and see how this unfolds over the next several years.
At least the next 2 years.
Yeah, and now we've been talking about the Republican side.
Yep.
And what they've been doing in Congress this past week. But I think it's time to pay attention to our own people.
The good old Democrats.
The party closest ideologically to us, but still failing at their job.
Still far away.
Still, yeah, miles away from us. And being terrible at everything all the time. Once again, we got to check in with the Democrats. So
not learning their lessons.
Absolutely not. With a new session of Congress comes new congressional leadership on each committee, right? The parties are responsible for delegating these tasks. Usually the top member in the minority on each committee doesn't really matter very much because they don't have a ton of power, right? If you think of like the Commerce Committee, for example, who fucking cares who's leading that, let alone who's the minority ranking member on that committee? It just doesn't matter. But there are some committees that matter in terms of rhetoric and messaging, which is the primary function of being the opposition party, is calling out the majority dominant party for all the bad shit that they're doing. And here we're talking about the Oversight Committee, which is responsible for holding hearings and doing different investigations on accountability for the government, but also for corporations.
Yeah.
The Oversight Committee famously had hearings on the harm of tobacco before tobacco was more fully regulated by the federal government, back when doctors would recommend cigarettes and shit like that.
Yeah, wow.
So Oversight Committee is pretty important and is a good opportunity to put Republicans and government officials and corporations on blast.
Yeah, especially, in such a quote-unquote pro-business environment like the one that Trump wants to bring forth, where he wants to put people at the NLRB that just let people do whatever they want to their employees.
Yeah, exactly. And there's already like corruption we can see, right, with the influence of Elon Musk. Just imagine what's happening behind the scenes. The Oversight Committee is the place to like really, really get in on that with some institutional power. So the Democratic caucus held a secret ballot election for Oversight Committee leadership. And the two options were AOC, hometown hero, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York, and Jerry Connolly.
Who?
Jerry Connolly, a representative from Virginia.
Some motherfucker I've literally never heard of.
Never heard of him until this week. Now, Jerry Connolly was backed by Nancy Pelosi and most of the old head Democrats.
So all the Democrats.
He is 74 years old. He has throat cancer, and he won the vote 131 to 84.
You got to point at the irony, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's at the top of the Oversight Committee, whose job it is to do rhetoric, to do messaging, to hold the opposition accountable. after an election where the primary thing we learn is we need to do economic populism, we need to have strong messages at the forefront. We elect a guy with throat cancer.
You elect a guy with
who's 74?
Yeah, a 74-year-old with throat cancer is leading the Democrats on the oversight committee. And it's not even just that from this election we've learned we need better economically populist rhetoric.
Yeah.
It's also that, as I said, as the opposition party, your job is to do rhetoric.
Yeah.
That is the sole function as the party who has no power right now.
Yeah.
Literally no power in any branch of government at the moment. Your job is solely rhetoric and messaging.
And I'm sorry, but like Hakeem Jeffrey sucks.
Oh my God. He's not fakest speaker of all time.
You remember when he did the A is for...
Yes.
Yeah.
When Trump got indicted. No, and he's not even really the speaker. It's still Nancy Pelosi.
A is for accepting the outcome of elections.
They invented a fucking title for Nancy Pelosi. She's like Speaker Emeritus or some shit like that.
They invented a title
yes,
for... Oh my God, retire.
Because she's still in Congress. And she's still fucking calling the shots behind the scenes. Because she doesn't fuck with AOC.
Man.
It's ridiculous.
Wasn't she like bedridden, recovering from hip surgery
at the time of the vote?
If you're recovering from old age hip surgery, out of Congress.
I think she fell in like Germany or Amsterdam. I don't think she was in the United States, and then was in the hospital, and then was rallying votes against AOC.
Damn.
She had like a herniated disc or something.
If you're old and having like falling problems and hip surgery problems, disqualified.
Yeah.
Disqualified from running for Congress.
Yeah, as soon as no, it's ridiculous. More specifically though, I wanted to read some quotes for you. This is from Politico. While other ranking members largely fell to or stepped aside for younger challengers, members still largely felt that it wasn't right to bypass 74-year-old Connolly for the 35-year-old progressive darling. And despite calls for a shift in leadership, and some concerns about Connolly's recent cancer diagnosis, House Democrats aren't totally willing to abandon their attachment to seniority.
Isn't that the money right there?
Yeah.
Isn't that bit about seniority just the fucking money right there? Oh my God.
This is a quote from Lloyd Doggett. I think that there are challenges in totally abandoning the seniority rule or the seniority system here, because if seniority is not the rule, money becomes the rule.
How?
I don't know what he's talking about.
The senior people are the richest people.
Yes.
AOC is not. People are not watching AOC stock trades to model their own stock trades off them. The seniors are the ones that are rich.
Nancy Pelosi is like what, top 5 for stock performances?
Gotta be
portfolio performances.
Top 5 all time. Just GOAT, LeBron of stock performance.
It's like Dan Crenshaw is usually number 1, and then it's Nancy Pelosi at number 2 in terms of like portfolio performance in Congress. Yeah. I don't know money. I don't know what he's talking about here.
And it's just so crazy to watch them be like, no, it's literally the seniority system is literally the senior system, the senior fucking citizen system. We are not willing to abandon the people whose mental faculties have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Lloyd Doggett was the first Democrat in Congress to call for Joe Biden to drop out. So I don't know what he's on about. Man. Maybe he got punished for making that statement too soon.
I guess so.
And now he's like trying to prove that he's actually for the party and he rides with the Democrats. I think he's old too, though. So I don't know. These people think they're going to live forever, I guess.
Never mind.
Here's another quote from a Democratic leadership aide who was granted anonymity to speak candidly, according to Politico. They said, I think a lot of members know Ocasio-Cortez would be best, but I think there's some heartburn with new Dems, and she would put them in a tough spot by going hard on cultural issues.
You should be fired.
Yeah.
You should be fired. Guys, cultural issues won Republicans the elections right here. Messaging about cultural issues and strong messaging got Republicans a dub. First what's the popular vote victory?
Yeah.
Since forever.
Yeah, and AOC apparently in her pitch was like, yeah, I'm going to do economic populism.
Yeah. AOC would do that. Yeah. And we don't want that.
It's a real shame.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
They said, look, this Connolly guy has done nothing his entire career of note. We need to give him something to do. He earned that.
No, it's ridiculous because like all the official Democratic Party stands for at this point is seniority and then respect for norms and traditions and institutions and that kind of thing.
The population doesn't respect.
Yeah, exactly. Like an unknown 74-year-old with throat cancer is now going to be leading one of the most important committees for the minority party over AOC, who can get attention anywhere at any place for any reason whenever she wants.
There were not Connolly Trump voters.
No.
There were famously AOC Trump voters that people went out and suck out No, because why are you voting for AOC and Trump, two people at the opposite ends of the ideological spectrum?
Yeah.
And when you talk to every single AOC Trump voter, they say AOC is a disruptor. AOC speaks to like issues importantly. AOC does populism.
Yeah.
Man.
Like, this is precisely the reason the Democratic Party is struggling to connect with voters at this point. It's because all they can do is defer to these old fucks who nobody knows over a known orator who can do a good job with rhetoric when, again, when you're in the minority party, your only job is to do rhetoric.
And who is, like, very easily able to tap into, like, news.
Yeah.
Like, very easily able to get her voice heard. Like, she just got on the fucking majority report. I'm not going to pretend that these internet leftist platforms are massive platforms to the public, but, like, she's doing the rounds. She's appeared on Hassan's stream. She's done these things. Whenever she wants, she gets on fucking CNN. I have never heard of Jerry Connolly.
Never.
Who the fuck is this guy?
She regularly makes headlines when she does, like, an Instagram live.
Exactly.
That's the kind of influence you want when we're talking about something like the Oversight Committee. Even the fucking Greek sophists from 2,500 years ago knew that if you want to capture public attention, even if you don't have power, you got to be eloquent and be rhetorical.
Yeah.
And AOC can do that. Nobody knows Jerry Connolly.
Man, fuck. Even if Nancy Pelosi was the head of the fucking Oversight Committee, I'd be like, okay, I guess she's really good at fundraising.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy?
My favorite quote from all of this was from Representative Don Bayer, who was a supporter of Connolly. And he said, quote, "Jerry's a young 74, cancer notwithstanding." That's good. That's, just so you know, Don Bayer's also like 70-something.
Oh, of course. Fuck, man, fuck.
We're run by the oldest people in the country. It's actually cool. So that's not great, people.
That's not great. That's actually quite worrying.
Yeah.
Quite worrying.
This is the rot within the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
This is everything that we shouldn't be. This is the reason why they keep losing shit.
We're not willing to abandon this. Look at what the Republicans are doing. They're winning power now.
Yeah. If Republicans had like locked in and not been insane in 2022, I think they would have swept.
Absolutely. The red wave would have actually happened.
Yeah, if the Supreme Court hadn't overturned Roe v. Wade in that year, then yeah, I think that the red wave probably comes.
If Democrats didn't massively overperform in special elections, we'd be fucked.
Yeah. It's this is just like, I don't know even what to say. Like, AOC has said she's going to continue to fight. I think that she could do some things differently, of course, but she's not the problem. The seniority system is very clearly the issue here.
And it's like, the only reason Democrats do very well and overperform in special elections because nobody fucking cares about special elections. Rhetoric doesn't matter as much because nobody fucking votes in them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they looked at the election and got the opposite lesson they were supposed to learn.
Well, they literally did. We've talked about it a couple of times, how Joe Biden thought it was his moderate stance on abortion that won them the midterm.
That's so crazy. Like the entire party's infected with this deference towards seniority. It is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And it's just who they are now. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do about that?
Wait.
Yeah, I mean...
Wait, AOC maybe not too long.
AOC has time on her side. I mean, this dude literally has cancer. I don't know how,
74, yeah.
I don't know how life-threatening throat cancer is, of course. Cancer's a hell of a thing. Take time off, dog. Retire.
Go, literally, just retire.
Go be with your family.
Where is he even from?
Virginia.
Oh, Blue Stronghold. You're good. Safe seat. Safe seat. You can retire. You can get a young buck in there. We're good. We're chilling.
Yeah, but instead it's somebody, instead of AOC being the one. It's such a fucking fumble, dog. Like, Oversight and Judiciary are the two committees that you actually want to have a presence on, like a public presence on, and be rhetorically useful on. And they just completely fumbled the ball here.
Those are the committees that get the big fucking testimonies and shit. Man.
Yeah, those are the places to be for this incoming session of Congress, and looks like we're just dropping the ball. So that's fun.
That's something to think about. At least hopefully maybe the Gates report could come out.
Yeah, that is coming out. A little Christmas present, yeah. It's coming out before the end of the year.
Interesting.
That's been confirmed. So we'll see what's on that.
We'll see if that guy flees to Cabo or some shit.
Yeah, we got to take the victories as we can get them.
Yeah.
So,
what are the countries that don't extradite? Maybe we'll catch Matt Gates in one of them. Yeah.
Moving on to some good news, though, is STRIKEWATCH.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk STRIKEWATCH, because we actually have some good news to talk about here.
And it's been kind of a minute.
Yeah, it has been a little while, but we're going back. We really are going back to our roots this episode, because you may remember years ago at this point, we talked about the Amazon strikes I think it started in Alabama.
Yep.
I think actually that was before the show started, but then there were more throughout the tenure of the show, of course.
Yeah, there was the Kellogg strike,
Yeah.
the John Deere strikes.
Yeah, that was hot labor summer.
A couple other ones, yeah.
Now we are talking about Amazon employees on strike once again, although the term employees doesn't quite fit here according to Amazon themselves.
Oh, associate?
And we can get into why they think that.
Are they all
employee doesn't
1099 contractors?
Well, we'll get into it.
Oh,
So,
no.
A couple of years ago, of course, we covered the series of strikes at Amazon, which were fairly unsuccessful because Amazon is enormous, has a lot of money, and is very, very anti-union.
Yeah, union dues, PS5. Take your pick.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm taking the PS5 every single
time.
time. You know what I'm saying? This past week, though, Amazon delivery drivers went on strike with the Teamsters. And the reason that the term employees doesn't quite fit, according to Amazon, is because they claimed that they aren't actually employees of Amazon itself. They're contracted through another company to do all of Amazon's delivery work. It's like last mile type shit for deliveries. They drive Amazon trucks. They wear Amazon vests and gear. They deliver Amazon packages, but they're not Amazon employees because they're technically hired through another company and contracted to work for Amazon. Therefore, we don't have to bargain with you. We don't have to give you benefits. We don't have to listen to anything that you're saying, is the argument from Amazon HQ.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. If only we had a good NLRB to look forward to.
Yeah. So these strikes have popped up in a bunch of different delivery centers responsible for, like I said, final mile type deliveries in New York, San Francisco, Atlanta, and some areas outside of Chicago. Starting on Saturday, a Staten Island facility has joined the strike that now consists of like 5,500 workers or so. So there's a lot of people on strike. Amazon claims that these strikes haven't resulted in any disruption to delivery operations, and they've also just completely refused to come to the table for any kinds of negotiations. I don't know exactly what the extent of the impact is, but, you know, however many thousands of workers being on strike not doing deliveries seems like it would impact.
Especially during the holiday season.
Seems like it would impact stuff, right?
I've seen articles say that there are delays in deliveries, like displaying on the Amazon website. Like
Amazon says no.
Not coming.
Amazon
says no.
So
that's crazy. Jeff Bezos has enough money to personally pay all of these people their entire salaries in full.
Yeah, it's only a couple thousand people.
For like the whole fucking year.
Yeah.
Forever, honestly, if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And they're tripping over what's going to be like, I don't know, $1 pay raise every year for the next like 3 years.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what show I was listening to, but somebody said that there was one guy interviewed on the picket line that said, I used to work for UPS doing functionally the same thing. Then I came to this job and I'm getting paid like $22 an hour in New York, which is not enough to live on. Yeah, exactly. So it's not great. And the union's demands are very normal stuff: higher wages, better benefits, better working conditions. We all, of course, remember infamous stories about Amazon workers having to pee into water bottles in order to not take on penalties for stopping the van or pulling off of the path or whatever. So I hope they win. Yeah. I hope they're doing well. NYPD is already breaking picket lines.
I saw that. That shit was nuts.
They're going crazy on them. Yeah.
They were like, they got the fucking riot gear. NYPD has really been doing a lot this last month.
They got the Gremlin Squad out there.
They got a lot of pictures coming out that are kind of wicked right now, let me tell you. But man, no, that's fucked up. NYPD doing what they were designed to do.
Yeah, this is like the original function of police.
Yep.
It's disrupting collective action and catching slaves.
It's slave catching. That's what the police were designed to do. And here we have it, folks.
I saw one video where they were doing a picket line in front of like the underground place where like all the vans are, and they come up and leave the facility, and they were blocking the exit so the vans couldn't get out because it's a picket line.
Yeah, don't cross the picket line.
And someone was pulling out with their van, and they were talked to by the picket line, and the dude got out of his van and was going to join the strike.
Yes.
And then he got arrested.
He got arrested?
He got fully arrested.
Why?
In New York. I don't know why. The cops first... It was actually really funny. They tried to push him back in the van and clip his seatbelt back in.
What the fuck?
And then he was like, no, I'm getting out. Like, I'm joining the picket line. And he got arrested.
Oh, he got hit with littering.
I don't know what he got hit with.
Just dropping the truck off.
Yeah, but he got arrested. So that was NYPD so obviously on the side of Amazon. It's not even funny. Now, the core question here, of course, is if these workers are considered under the purview of Amazon. In my opinion... You shouldn't be able to just contract out work and then basically wash your hands and say you have no responsibility for what happens to them. Yeah. Especially because they're using your trucks, wearing your gear, delivering your shit. Like, yeah, you should pay them back.
Kind of just becomes a fucked system.
Yeah.
And then it's like if you allow corporations to do that, you just create these super complex webs of just subcontractors and subcontractors to just so no one ever has to have any responsibility for any of these employees, and the people who do, who are directly accountable for them don't really matter because it's the subcontractor.
Yeah, you bury them in contracts so you can just crush them.
Exactly, and just hide beneath this fucking paper trail so that no employee ever gets to be able to afford their rent.
Yeah, it's unironically doing the exact same thing that Republicans accuse the government of doing.
Oh, wow. Who'd have thought?
Like destroying people with layers and layers of bureaucracy that can never hope to disentangle. It's exactly what this like gig economy type shit is.
And it's like how Nestle gets away with slavery.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court said, no, slavery is chill because it's a subcontractor that does it.
That's so sick.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. Or Coca-Cola too, I think. That's really good.
Is it like death squads in Nicaragua or some shit connected to Coca-Cola? I don't know the details of that one as well as I know the Nestle stuff, but man.
Yeah, I think it was death squad somewhere. That's cool. That's really cool. Corporation's a moral boon for the country. Now, I think, just to end off this section, perfect opportunity for Democrats to launch the economic populism and to get that ball rolling, although I don't really see anybody doing it. Yeah. There might have been some, more progressive types on the picket line. I'm sure like local Democrats or, the more radical ones are standing on the picket line with these folks. But haven't heard anything from Joe Biden. Haven't seen really anything from any of like the major players in Congress. Maybe AOC has said something since it's in New York. I'm not exactly sure. But this is like an opportunity to make some noise because I think just about everyone hates Jeff Bezos.
I think so.
Pretty easy argument to make. It has been fun to see the media, again, if we're talking like original functions of these institutions, making the spinning the narrative that like, oh, what if consumers are hurt by this, huh? Sean O'Brien, leader of the Teamsters, was on MSNBC, CNN, one of them. And the questions he kept getting asked were like, "Why do you hate consumers?"
Yeah,
so that's fun.
While I dislike the principle of that question, I dislike the culture that makes us like think of that question when we hear strike. I do like that guy is in a tough position.
Yeah, it's his fault.
It's literally his fault, and his job is going to become so much more infinitely worse under the Trump administration that he endorsed.
Yeah, the NLRB's very important.
It's gone. It's fucked.
Yeah, the NLRB is very important. Well, it's fucked for two reasons. One, Manchin and Sinema didn't vote in favor of the final two appointees that Biden wanted to put on. And
oh my God, Jesus fucking Christ, I forgot about that.
It was like 2 or 3 people who would have had terms that extended like past Trump's presidency or something like that. So they voted against them.
I think Trump wouldn't have been able to have full control of the NLRB until 26.
Yeah.
Or so, that's how things worked.
Would have been cool.
But now he gets it as soon as he takes office.
And on top of that, Elon Musk has not fully said, but basically suggested that he wants to get rid of the NLRB entirely, probably because his companies are tied up in NLRB legal troubles. So not great.
Wow, man. Wow. I love it. Unionization was finally on the up.
Yeah.
Shit was finally starting to look better these last couple years. Whew.
Yeah, it's because somebody like Biden kind of gave the reins to some cool progressive people on labor. Because as we know now, he was delegating everything because he couldn't actually do anything himself.
Yeah, should just let Bernie do it.
Whoever got delegated the labor stuff was doing a great job.
Yeah. Bernie was killing it when he appointed Lena Khan. And
Lena Khan doing a fantastic job, but now we're gonna go back so far. It's actually really bad.
Yeah. Shout out the Gilded Age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Welcome back, Gilded Age.
Welcome back, the Gilded Age. It was gilded for a reason.
It is the 2020s.
Oh, shit.
1920s was the Gilded Age, you know what I'm saying?
History repeats.
And that's so important.
It's like poetry, it rhymes. You know what I'm saying? I do think it's also interesting. I saw a headline earlier. Jeff Bezos is having his $600 million wedding, I think next weekend or next month or some shit like that.
Man, come on.
Man, 600 million. Your workers are on strike. Well, they're not his workers. So
of course,
that'd be unfair to attribute to him.
Yeah, that'd be an illegal accusation.
Yeah, workers that were subcontracted from your company are on strike, and you're having a $600 million wedding.
Yeah, no, it's like if that shit was in like a.
This is his second wedding.
Yeah, if that shit was in like a fantasy book, you'd be like, oh, opulence, decadence, society in decline.
Exactly.
Like, it's ridiculous how we look at these things and we're just like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. And in fact, the workers are asking for too much. Jeff Bezos worked for every dime that he has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that $1 raise that they're going to get, that inflation is going to, the tariffs, it won't even cover the tariffs.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, so not looking great, but that wraps up Strike Watch for this week, folks.
That does.
Christmas Strike Watch.
And, bringing us into this next segment, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I said at the beginning, we've got a big reputation for being the #1 geopolitical podcast. Just
huge reputation
on the airwaves.
Geopolitical reputation.
But what many haven't realized yet, or what many don't credit us with, is we are also the #1 local news podcast.
Give us our flowers.
Give us our flowers. We love going county by county and looking at the different stories that are happening. And this week, being the #1 local news podcast has taken us to Lincoln County, Oregon. Man, this is a story.
Okay.
Man, this is a story. Let me just preface it that this is short yet incredibly insane.
Okay.
So residents of Lincoln County, Oregon have been receiving anonymous letters detailing steps that they can take to get their brown neighbors deported. Straight up.
It's going to be from like Turning Point USA?
It's anonymous.
Okay.
The letters don't say where they're from. They're gassed, though. I'll read it in a second. The sheriff in Lincoln County, Oregon, reported this week that he was made aware of the letter. It just showed up in his mailbox. It also showed up in the mailbox of a bunch of other elected officials. It's been circulating throughout the community. He said the contents were so divisive that he felt the need to report it to the FBI. The FBI responded saying that, they had already been made aware.
They're like, we're sending it.
They said, we already know about these bad boys. And the letter is just so insane that, I can't believe we on this podcast are covering a story where the sheriff is a good guy.
Oh, yeah, that's rare.
That's a hit-o first, I think.
That might be usually we're covering a sheriff that's like, if you vote for Kamala Harris, I'm going to kill you.
Like the Portage County sheriff in Ohio. Yeah. That guy was like, he was like, I'm going to write down everybody who's got a Kamala sign and use state violence against him or something.
If the evil child molesting laughing hyena wins, I'll kill you guys.
Basically, yeah. Those are the kind of
it.
Sheriffs we usually talk about on this program. But no, this guy's the hero of the story.
Oh, wow.
What does that say about the state of the country right now? You know what I'm saying? Some important context before we read the content of the letter. Oregon is a sanctuary state. As the Lincoln County Sheriff Office puts it, Oregon law does not allow the inquiry or connection of a person's immigration status or citizenship status, explaining that is why deputies do not document or share that kind of information with ICE. An important caveat is that sanctuary laws usually only prohibit government employees from reporting immigration status to ICE or working with ICE without a court order. To my understanding, that does not apply to civilians. It's just laws that prohibit government employees from cooperating unless the government tells them they absolutely have to.
Which I rock with.
Which I fuck with. It's pretty cool because, it doesn't fucking matter.
It's not their job.
It's not their fucking job.
Why should state police or whatever?
Why should the local school board have any business doing any of that? They're good laws that get rid of bureaucratic blow.
Exactly. I hate red tape.
I do. I despise technique.
I hate bureaucracy.
But with that in mind, let's read this letter.
Okay.
So the letter right at the top is titled "The Brown Roundup Part 1."
Holy moly. Holy moly.
Starting the last part of January of 2025, already starting off pretentious, already starting off crazy with that phrasing, that prose, this nation will commence the largest roundup of brown illegals in our history. How can you help? Start identifying those folks who you suspect are here in our country on an illegal basis. Church. Sit in your church's parking lot and write down the license plate numbers of the brown folks.
What the fuck?
This is extremely important if you attend a Catholic church. And then they put in a fucking M dash. Many brown folks are Catholics. This is riddled with pretentious M dashes. That shit is crazy.
Many
some
brown
of them
folks
are just improperly used.
Many brown folks are Catholic. Oh, they're devout and believe in God?
Yeah, many brown folks are Catholics.
Many brown folks are real Christians.
I, as a Christian, don't fuck with that. I, as a Christian, don't like them. Shopping. Again, if you see a bunch of brown folks getting in a car, write down the plate number.
Holy shit, dog. What the fuck? You can't just say that.
Schools. As you wait in line to pick up the kiddos or grandkiddos, if you see brown folks, record the plate number. Your neighborhood. God. You know where the brown folks live in your neighborhood. Again, record the plate numbers. If you see a construction crew and or landscaping crew who have brown folks, write down the name of the company and phone number.
If you see people working?
Yeah. That's all of them, brother. That's every single fucking one of them. We have received information. Brown folks who are currently in Idaho and Montana are planning to move to our state because they believe it will be, quote, safer for them. So don't limit the license plate to just Oregon. Brown folks from any state will be able to be reported to the Department of Homeland Security. Why are you doing this? Shortly after the 21st of January, Homeland Security will create a hotline to which you can send your information. Ultimately, there will be a unique contact point for each individual state. When Homeland Security starts their, quote, roundup process, these brown folks will be placed in county jails in which the counties have signed a contract. These counties will be reimbursed, and the brown folks will remain until camps are complete in Texas.
Camps are complete in Texas? What do you mean?
Then these folks will be transferred there.
No.
As you know, at no point during the home purchase process is a potential home buyer required to show citizenship status.
Good.
So when the brown folks are rounded up, their properties will be confiscated, just like the properties belonging to the Japanese in California were during World War II.
I don't think this is the case you want to make for your side, brother.
So within the short term, there will be a whole lot of homes on the market for us white folks to purchase, and with the inventory so high, the prices will be very low and affordable.
Oh, this dude fucks with FDR for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. This guy likes everything I didn't that FDR did.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot emphasize enough how this is literally just Nazi shit.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's what I thought when I first read the letter, but then they started praising concentration camps.
Yeah.
And talking about how it's actually dope that Texas is building concentration camps. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, you're just a Nazi.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's the same shit. It's report on your neighbors that you suspect are Jewish, but instead of Jewish, it's brown or illegal here.
Don't snitch on your neighbors.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is a direct symptom of, like, not only Trump's election, but also just liberal failures to counter message. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about it all fucking year, really, when it comes to the immigration issue. But this is just a concrete example of people feeling emboldened in a way that they should never feel emboldened. You should not ever want to be out there publicly talking like this.
No. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be completely and utterly socially unacceptable to, like, put this out in the airwaves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is so fucking gross and so bigoted, and I don't even want to say a unique way because it echoes everything that's been wrong with modern history. Mm-hmm. The fucking Holocaust.
Yeah, no, you're just being evil. Like,
you're just being evil. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's no real, like, analysis to offer. Like, we know this guy's wrong and evil and harmful, but this is how this kind of shit starts. Yeah. Right? Like, once you get average people, I'm guessing this was just wrote by some random person that lives in Oregon.
Gotta be. Who thinks they're way smarter than they are?
I mean, maybe there's some connections to the incoming Trump administration, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was just some rando sort of mass distributing an anonymous letter. But this is how this shit kind of starts. Like, you provide moral license to average people to report on their neighbors and get them involved in some extreme form of cruelty. And then they get to sort of wipe their hands of any moral responsibility for actually harming that person and sending them to the concentration camps. Yeah. This is how it worked in Nazi Germany. Like, people lived next to Jewish people, and although they were friendly with them, they would smile at them as they walked by. They would report them to the Nazi party and get them taken away.
Plates.
Exactly. Like, this is exactly how it happens.
And it's so fucking insane, too, because it's like domestically, the liberal backpedaling on immigration was the worst thing that Biden did domestically.
Yeah.
Domestically, because it, like you said, it just gives license to this, because there was no humanitarian message present when it came to the immigration issue. There was no message present other than we need to deport them less harder than Trump wants to deport them, or we need to deport them exactly how hard Trump wants to deport them, but look, they won't let us do it. That's the only thing we heard, and when that's the only thing you hear, people like this can go out there and be like, yeah, everybody wants this to happen. So not only am I gonna, like, be excited about Trump wanting to deport 1 billion people, I'm gonna say it's every brown person, which is also just another part of this thing that's, it's hard to call that part of self-report because, like, look at the letter. Look at the letter.
Saying Japanese internment camps were cool is a part of the letter.
Saying Japanese internment camps brought down home prices is like...
Maybe JD Vance wrote the letter.
That is so uniquely evil that I can't stand it, but the focus on, like, brown was another thing that kind of stroked me too, because it's like, it's not right down the plate numbers of any person you think may be an immigrant, which is already insane and Nazi-ish, not even Nazi adjacent. That is Nazi shit. That's literally what they did. It's any person that is brown. As if black people don't live in Oregon. Well, I mean, maybe they don't. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's a white state, Portland and whatnot. But, like, there are brown people that are born and live in the United States. Yeah. There are people that have been here for generations and first and second generation immigrants.
It's just profiling people. It's
it's not even any sort of, like, I don't know, more elaborate dog whistly profiling.
Yeah, it's like if you see some brown kids after school get into a car, write down the license plate number.
Yeah.
Like, what the...
No, Literally, it's not, if you suspect that this Canadian overstayed their visa, let's report him to Homeland Security. It's if this person has brown skin, let's report them to Homeland Security. Let's report them to ICE and get them kicked out.
Obviously,
I want to buy their house.
Yeah. If any, like, Republican official is confronted with this kind of stuff, they're going to be like, oh, no, of course you shouldn't do that. Like, that's bad. I respect all Americans. But again, this is how this shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get citizens to turn on each other. A government can't do this on their own. They need buy-in from the citizens as well. And if citizens are willing to do this to their neighbors, then they're going to have a pretty easy time deporting people.
And I mean, they just said it out loud. Yeah. I don't even know if it's the quiet part at this point, but they just said it out loud. There's no functional way that Trump can deport 25 million people like he fucking staked his election on doing. Other than by getting people to do this. The government can't find these people. They're illegal and undocumented for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know where they are. There's estimates of how many illegal immigrants are in the country, but they're estimates. We don't know. People are going to get caught up in the process.
Oh, absolutely.
And as Trump himself was saying, he's not opposed to deporting entire families together. Like, what do we?
Yep, and when you're moving those families from one side of the country to another, they stay in a camp for a while. People get lost. People die in those camps. They're not going to be treated well because Trump and his team obviously doesn't think very highly of illegal immigrants or family members that are legal of illegal immigrants. So, yeah, it's going to be insanely brutal. Moving that many people alone, even if you just had like a straight shot from Oregon to the southern border, that's going to kill people as well. I mean, how do you move people like that efficiently? You don't treat them with very much luxury or comfort, obviously.
Oh, then
I mean,
we saw this during camps in Texas?
You saw this during the Holocaust, too. I mean, they were moved in train cars where people died inside of them a lot of the time, on way to concentration camps.
Yeah.
Like, it's history repeating itself, and it's scary. Don't report on your neighbors. Be cool.
It is scary.
Those are your homies.
Don't snitch on your neighbors.
No.
Even if you don't like fuck with them like that. Don't snitch like this on your neighbors.
Yeah.
It's bad. I don't fuck with state violence like this, which would be necessitated.
I don't fuck with state violence at all. I think it's bad.
Shit, real as hell. Real as hell. That's something I can co-sign. I also really would like to just hyper focus on that last bit about the internment camps too. Because one, Japanese internment camps were good is a crazy take. That's not something I ever thought I was ever going to hear in my entire life. You know what I mean? That's just there, point blank.
Yeah.
But the housing thing really pisses me off. And it pissed me off when J.D. Vance said it at the debate. And again, I'm going to get into the fact that there's no counter message for when J.D. Vance says illegals are buying up all the houses. Illegal immigrants are buying up all the houses working under the table.
Yeah.
That J.D. Vance got on there at the debate stage and said that there's no meaningful counter message to it. That's why this random person can submit this fucking letter to everybody in Lincoln County and like, get away with it.
You know, for Tim Walz, I don't blame him individually because he was kind of just thrown in there.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if I would have an immediate response to that on the debate stage. And of course, he was told to be less progressive. But yeah, the Democratic Party had no real response.
Yeah.
They kind of just went along with like, oh yeah, maybe increased immigration would raise housing prices when there's no real empirical evidence for that.
Well, it's a supply and demand issue. So when immigrants come through, it's a lot more demand. No, it's not. For homes?
And it's like, even so, people coming into the country got to live somewhere.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess my point here is they're not living at homes.
No, of course not. They're not competing for like family homes.
To say that there are enough illegal brown immigrants, important when we're talking about this, illegal brown immigrants in fucking Oregon that own homes in this economy to where if you got rid of them all, house prices would go down substantially is the most asinine thing I think I've ever heard. I think that's even crazier than saying Japanese internment camps were good. What the fuck do you mean? You seriously are this fucking delusional that you think that there's enough Mexican immigrants who come over here and I don't know are working under the fucking table to put down a $200,000 down payment on a house on the Oregon coastline?
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about? You should be thrown in jail for being that stupid.
There's not, like immigrants coming to Oregon are the ones soaking up all the housing units and driving rent prices up or whatever.
Yes.
Like in Oregon, it's hard to get much further north than Oregon.
And it doesn't, if anything, it's Canadian immigrants. If anything, it's those fuckers who are coming over here fleeing political persecution, Justin Trudeau. And maybe they have enough money to buy a house, I guess. Fucking deport them. I don't care. They're Canadians.
Yeah, we're Canadians.
I would like them out here.
It's not a real country anyway.
It's not a real country. It's going to be the 51st state.
Well, I'm actually against that plan.
Oh, true.
I think we should build the wall, but on the northern border.
I think so too.
And it should be like the wall around Shiganshina, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. But we get all the Great Lakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't get the Great Lakes. Lake Superior, it's like mostly Canadian. No. No, that's
nothing is
right
Canadian.
because it doesn't exist.
It's not.
fake.
It's not a real like culture or anything like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
They're silly. But like in case you are sympathetic to the idea that, supply and demand housing, maybe immigrants are buying up houses, I do have an NPR article linked below that you can check out that says no the fuck they don't.
Yeah.
Because it's just the common sense thing to think. You know what I mean? It takes 2 seconds to think through the issue. So that's good.
And also like the issue with housing in the United States is very clearly that we don't have enough houses to buy.
Yep.
Which is why the price is so high, because there's it's clearly a supply issue. And sure, like, increasing demand makes prices more expensive, and like that's like the general economic theory. But that so clearly is not what's happening here. The issue is NIMBYs.
Yep.
Like that is entirely the issue.
But there are nuances to like thinking that it's like a supply issue, because yes, immigrants are coming over. They're not increasing the demand for fucking housing though.
Right, exactly.
They're
not in the way that like you're trying to buy a house.
Exactly. They're not increasing the demand for $500,000 fucking houses in the forest in Oregon. That's not what's going on. And I like that you say it's a NIMBY issue, because I think this is a really good opportunity for liberal NIMBYs to step up and say, and they can say, we have to let the immigrants stay, not because we fuck with the Browns, but because I need my property values to stay up.
Well, but isn't it like the whole point of being a NIMBY is you don't want your property values to fall because we've tied everyone's wealth into home ownership?
Exactly. And if we kick out all the Browns that own all the houses, apparently, then my property values are going down.
Oh, so true. Everyone's going to be gone.
Exactly. This is, it's just like how Chip Roy can do a good thing.
Yeah.
This is where the NIMBYs can come in and, make themselves heard.
Well, if anyone can get it done, it's homeowners.
Oh, absolutely.
If anyone can get any political thing done, it's homeowners.
They've got
not
a lot
Congress, but homeowners. Yeah.
They've got a lot of political will. It's too much political will.
Way too much power.
Us renters need some of that.
Exactly.
Renter supremacy is coming up in the next couple of years, folks. You just wait. But partly in response to that just insane letter, but broadly also in response to Trump's election, the Oregon State AG rolled out a new website that aims to let immigrants know their rights as it pertains to Oregon sanctuary status.
Oh, that's good.
It's like this toolkit that links to a bunch of helpful material in a lot of different languages that informs Oregon residents of things like the fact that if the feds are outside their doors, they have the right to not open the door and can ask to see a warrant signed by a judge. That's linked in the description in case you live in Oregon or are just curious to check it out. If you live in Oregon, when you're at the grocery store, if you see a bunch of brown people get in a car, you should let them know about this.
Yeah. Well, maybe don't profile people.
You should let them know about this because they're probably illegal.
Yeah, you should set up a table on a college campus. Hey, have you heard about this? Only like avoiding white people specifically.
You should go to Catholic churches because that's where brown people love to go.
No, like it's going to be so important heading into this Trump administration to not tell on your neighbors.
Yes.
Whether they're immigrants or trans folks or maybe a woman getting an abortion in your life, like do not tell on your neighbors. If cops come around, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. And know you're right. That's fully within your rights.
I'm actually blind.
It's fully within your rights to not tell them anything. Just be like, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
not me. So look out for your friends.
I've never seen a brown person before.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't see color.
Exactly. And that's
color.
so important. So important. Ending off a couple of extras
Ending
here.
off little extras.
Some extras that maybe we'll be developing stories over the next few weeks. Maybe not. Who knows? One is I've been hearing a lot about the privatization of the post office. Apparently Trump's trying to do that again. This is a thing he initially tried to do back when he first got elected. Didn't fully manage it. But now is going to take a second go at it, I guess. All the same arguments apply. It's going to get hyper expensive to deliver to rural areas if the post office doesn't exist.
Specifically, things just won't be delivered to rural areas. That's like what's important about the post office. Other than the post office, like there's two kind of major things that come with that, right? Like if you privatize the post office, people will not deliver to rural areas.
Yeah.
Every American as of now has a right to like receive mail. It's too expensive for private companies to do that at like competitive rates. The post office does it for free.
They use the post office.
Exactly.
Like Amazon and UPS
office.
use the post office to deliver to rural areas.
Amazon uses the post office to just deliver in general as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And the post office being free, like, because I've seen a lot of people talk about like, okay, if you don't have the post office anymore, everything is private, then there's competition. The post office being free provides competition for UPS, FedEx, and whatever fucking shipping carriers, DHL, to keep their prices low so that they use those carriers over USPS. If you get rid of that, they can jack up their rates.
Yeah.
There's no countermeasure in the market.
And they will. jack up their rates. You know, like there's no reason that they wouldn't do that. And also there's like the argument's always like, oh well, the USPS operates in the red. So does like every other fucking government agency.
Yeah, it's a government.
It's a government. They don't need to make profit. Like who cares? They're funded by taxpayer dollars.
Such a fucking stupid fucking argument.
But also,
that this government organization needs to make money. That's not the fucking point of government.
Also, I'm pretty sure Republicans, like however many years ago, put a requirement on the Postal Service to fund pensions for like 10 years in advance, which is why they're so far in the red. Because there's this like insane requirement on them. There's a whole lot of complicated nuances there. The gist is privatizing the post office would be bad because the post office is pretty sick and it's older than the country itself.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
I'm in favor of mail. Also, if the post office got privatized, the Hit-O postcard program would take a hit.
I was just about to say.
Wouldn't be able to do it.
It becomes so much more expensive to send out all our postcards to the 200 lovely patrons that we handwrite notes on.
Exactly. We'd have to jack up the prices.
Yeah.
We'd have to jack up the prices hundreds of percents. That's inflation.
That measurable and real. Inflation is real.
Another piece of news that we didn't cover this episode, more congressional news, is that a defense bill passed. There was no argument over that whatsoever.
Yep.
Maybe to nobody's surprise. But the one bit of controversy that I did see out of this bill that again passed pretty easily through the House and the Senate.
It was like $850 billion, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, defense bill.
We're approaching $1 trillion in like 6 years.
Should be noted that like a month ago, the Pentagon failed their 7th audit in a row. But again, they get the same budget, maybe even higher than the year before.
Nice.
But also this time around, there was an explicitly anti-trans measure in the defense bill that basically said the Pentagon will not pay for gender-affirming care for its trans service members. So no reason other than bigotry for that one.
Dog, there's like 100.
I can't be that many.
There's like 3.
I mean,
there's less. Like there can't be that. There are not enough. My point is, there's not enough trans service members for it to be a drain on any sort of fucking budget.
Of course,
especially when there's an $853 billion budget.
Yeah, and I think the Pentagon claims that like the military is at this point functionally representative of the country in terms of demographics. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But if it is, Pentagon employs like 3 million people or something like that. So that'd be a couple thousand trans people at the very least.
Okay.
Again, I don't know if these numbers are true. I don't know how. I know that there are trans people in the military.
Yeah.
There are trans people under the purview of the Department of Defense. And they are not going to get access to their health care through their job, their employer's plan anymore because Congress voted for it.
I wonder if that also extends to family members, like dependents. Probably,
because they're not going to fund it. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
It's the health care plan, and you're on your parents' health care plan. You probably can't get access to the care you need through it.
You're stuck on TRICARE until you graduate college and you get kicked off. Damn.
Yeah, that's it's really not great. Democrats voted for this as well.
Yeah.
Not individually for the anti-trans bit, but they voted for the package as a whole.
Yeah.
I think some Democrats in the Senate tried to take it out, but in the end, it was like 30-something Democrats.
The negotiation process and whatnot.
That ended up voting for it. So that's not great.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. It also just brings up another thing. I hate just Elon Musk and Vivek and Doge and everything.
Yeah, they're bad.
And kind of everything that it stands for, because it doesn't stand for what it say it does. You know what I mean? It's not about efficiency. It's about just highlighting these super hyper specific issues or
line items,
literally line items within these big budgets. And saying, oh, this is what is this function of government spending represents what is a lot of money to one individual person. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it is a lot of money to the government, so we need to cut it.
Yeah,
it's like it's the research. It's looking at these individual like NIH grants that are given out and saying, oh, the government is spending $500,000 here. That's too much money. We should get rid of that. Or the NIH or not the DoD is spending, I don't know, $1 million on trans affirming care.
Yeah.
And thinking that that's a lot of money in comparison to the $853 billion.
The research ones especially piss me off when they point out that this agency is funding the effects of Ozempic on dogs or whatever.
Look at this stupid fucking research that I don't understand.
And it costs the government $500,000 a year. Yeah. And it's like, come on, Doug.
Yep.
That's literally nothing.
That's chump change.
It's literally, you cut that and that results in no change to the efficiency of the government or how much it spends in taxpayer dollars.
But that goes crazy if you're stupid.
It goes crazy
if you're dumb.
Speaking of things that go crazy if you're stupid, there's been a recent episode of mass hysteria in the great state of New Jersey about these quote-unquote drones or UFOs or whatever that are flying overhead like northern Jersey. I don't actually know where it is in New Jersey.
Brother, it's everywhere.
But it's fucking New Jersey. I don't feel a need to really entertain this because it's kind of I don't really care. It's like it kind of just feels like the Chinese spy balloon, but less important.
Oh, it's so much less important. Like,
Yeah.
infinitely less important. Anybody can go buy a fucking drone.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't even engaged with the videos. Maybe I'm, like, wrong or something. Maybe the drones are big, but anybody can go buy a fucking drone.
Well, and there's some people that are like, I see these drones in the sky, so I went and threw my drone up to get a closer look. It's like, well, you're just making the it's a meetup.
Oh, shit. And then I saw a third guy who said there's a swarm of drones in the New Jersey sky.
So I set mine up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just a light show. Just enjoy the light
Or
show.
in some cases, it's like an airplane or a helicopter. You know, New York is right next door, so.
Yeah.
Not like anyone's coming to your
And it's
godforsaken
like,
state.
I feel like I remember when this first started, people were saying maybe the DOD was being like coy about it. If the DOD is being coy about it, it's just a military drone.
Yeah.
They're not hiding aliens from you.
And, you know, I get the skepticism in some instances because the government has done all kinds of outlandish things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Iran-Contra scandal.
Giving LSD to sex workers or something.
Yeah, like if you had told someone before the news broke that like President Reagan was selling arms to Iran so he could fund death squads in Nicaragua to combat the Sandinistas, like you would be like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
but he was doing it, like the or Tuskegee syphilis experiments, for example.
Settled
like,
fact.
The government's done all kinds of crazy shit. And so it leaves people, even if they don't know about those specific examples, they know the government's done bad shit before, which leads them open to believe in conspiracies like this. And even if it is the government, it's like, you'll be fine, dog.
Yeah, it's not alien, dog.
And if they do end up like, killing people with the heart attack gun or something, we got worse problems to deal with
I'm saying,
than some lights in the sky.
I think if it was like a malicious alien drone, I think we'd be dead already.
Yeah, it'd be up.
Yeah. No more podcasts.
That's how I felt about the Chinese spy balloon too. It's like, well,
yeah, if they got a nuke on that spy balloon, it's over anyway.
literally nothing I can do about it. I'm not even a cog in the machine. I'm basically a screw.
Yeah, I'm a civilian.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, man. A civilian podcaster. Hit over podcaster general. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Trump to open the new department.
Absolutely.
And then appoint us to that cabinet position.
And that's a necessity.
Well, we can replace postmaster general with podcaster general.
Oh my, it's perfect.
Easy peasy.
You barely got to change the spelling.
Exactly.
It's right there.
I already see our names on the plaque.
Put me in charge of the Ministry of Truth. And
it's really the Ministry of Lies because I tell lies instead.
But I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is the point. And if any I don't know, massive liberal think tanks or moneyed interests want to reach out to us and buy out the podcast to sell a certain message over the next 4 years,
we're good. Yeah,
doors are open. Yeah,
it's chill.
Yeah, pull up.
Especially because now that Trump is winning, your interests align with ours in that you can be fake progressive again.
And yeah, you can cut it. You can set the contract to end after 4 years. Just drop 7 figures on our heads, we'll be fine.
Oh, easily. If you give me $10 million, I'll do whatever.
Yeah, give me a Steven Crowder contract. I won't call it slavery.
Yeah.
But I'll lock in and do it.
Which is, oh my God, yeah. That was like this time last year, wasn't it? Where he denied that $50 million contract.
Yeah.
If you gave me $50 million, I'd say anything you wanted me to. $10 million, you get, I'm 23 years old, almost 24 years old right now, right? You give me $75 million, or you give me $7.5 million. That's like $100,000 a year for the rest of my life.
I'm good.
I'm chilling. I don't need any more money than
and
that.
The audience already knows.
Exactly.
If we start saying something that is just objectively counter to the things we've said before, it's because I'm getting paid.
I've warned you guys many times that if we ever peddle a cryptocurrency, that shit is a rug pull.
It is.
And you should not buy it because you're gonna lose all your fucking money.
Yeah.
But no, we were paid a bag to promote it. So if we come on the next episode talking about fucking Hawk Tua coin, you know what's up. Or Hawk coin. If Haley Welch gives me $50,000, I'm peddling it.
Quite frankly, you should be able to tell that's a scam on your own.
Yeah. No, I don't feel bad for that. I don't even know if that's real. I couldn't parse through. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure it was a real thing that she scammed
crypto
people
rug
on.
pull. I thought it was fake for a minute because it's like, come on. You know what I mean?
She made like a legal statement, like apologizing.
And that's what finally got me to think it was real. But it's like, what do you mean? There was a Hawk coin and the Hawk, and the Hawk Tua girl really just did a crypto rug pull. What the fuck? The Hawk Tua girl does a fucking meme on just gets lucky, gets a street interview, launched into stardom, gets her own podcast that spawns a billion other
unbelievable
parody podcasts, and then does a crypto rug pull.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a real rags to riches story.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Makes it feel like an industry plant moment, though.
It does.
Or kind of, rocketing into fame off of a bad meme. It wasn't even fun.
It was fun for like 2 days, and then boomers liked it.
It's kind of ironically silly now. Talk to it.
No, that's true.
But it's not funny because the original meme was funny. But it's Yeah, invite us on the show. We'll make it entertaining.
Invite us on the show. We could talk to you about.
We'll come to Texas or wherever the fuck she's located.
I think it's California.
Oh, liberal.
Just stop at Hassan's, go to see Haley Welch, my good friend, and then I don't know, fly to New York and do Majority Report.
Yeah, we can talk about the government shutdown and the debt ceiling with Haley Welch.
That's
true.
Talk to her. Oh yeah. See, those memes were funny. Everything that spun out of
Assad on Hawk-Tua. Assad on Hawk-Tua. Yeah.
Everything that spun out of Hawk-Tua was so much funnier than Hawk-Tua. I mean, get your bag.
Yeah.
Hawk-Tua, I don't care about the podcast. The podcast is actually kind of hilarious now that everything spawned about it. But man, the rug pull thing, that's good.
Yeah, but anyways, that ends off our episode this week. Make sure you head down to the description and vote.
Yep.
For your desired picks for the 2024 Hiddo Award Show.
Absolutely, and then make sure to head on to the Patreon and 2025 maybe new benefit. You get to hop in early on Hiddo Coin.
Yeah, maybe.
When we launch Hiddo Coin,
well, at least you'll get
to hop in.
You'll get to hop in early on those on Hiddo University.
Oh, absolutely.
That'll be good. I think we'll start handing out our next degrees or our first set of degrees pretty soon.
I mean, shit, January 21st, right? January 21st, no more Department of Education.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that for my own personal gain.
No more accreditation. We're chilling, man.
If you've been enrolled in Hiddo for any amount of time, Hiddo University, that is, of course, we're an educational institution. If you've been enrolled for any amount of time, you'll be expecting a degree in the mail, potentially, if the post office still exists.
We can still mail things, actually, because, I forgot accreditation is going away on the 21st, so is the post office. So maybe we'll mail those out first to get there after.
Well, and diplomas from other universities come in the mail. What's the difference?
True. I got my diploma in the mail. I walked and they gave me a fake piece of paper.
It was blank.
The walk-in doesn't matter.
Walk
to your mailbox and get your Hiddo degree, people. Come on now. And we got to read off the dean's list today. So special thanks to Caden Kraut, Lord Tau the Radiant, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Dylan B., Andrew Harris, Mike Czaplinski, Omar Zuno, Clayton Lefed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari, Gavin Mayer Maldonado, Hunter W., Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Big Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Veryuk, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird, Titty Crawfishing, Benneth Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's boyfriend, Ted Cruz's boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Sines, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, L.E.N., Devin Hatchard, Retro Mondo, Emma the Dew Slayer, Veronica aka V, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grottler, Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Murder in a Trench Coat, Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes, In Hope of Giants, A.K. Gone, Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensox, Cammy, Tylen Freeman,
Steak Daddy, Tay-Tay, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Kayla Lowe, Anna Valena, Casey C., Say Yes to West, August, Particular Pigman, Sir Capalot, Jeff Sines, Howard the Duck, Brennan is Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Sasha, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Jared Finch, Tactical Snowflake, Son of Ander, Vanilla Bryce, Chris T., Kishan Lala, Amanda R., Hanky Panky, Tyler J., Damian Blues, Ashley White, Lalo Valesco, Particulon, Memfrez, Lauren, Uncrasmatic Boar, Sasquatch, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Kevin Kisaya, Schnoodle, Booty Snakes, Erica, Krusty Krab, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, John from Houston, Anaya, Ian C, Kryal Bongi, That Art Dork, Sergeant Pookie, Connor Nix, Jordan T, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Julian Castro 2028, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, shit.
And my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Postcards should be coming in the mail soon.
They will be. I'm sending them out tomorrow.
There we go.
Easy peasy.
So if you're international, maybe a little bit longer. I actually don't know if the international ones ever reached their destination.
Well, that's true. Yeah, let us know. I hope they did.
Also, we intend to update the patron list soon. Just haven't had time to do it. So some of you might be getting your name axed if you're not on the Patreon anymore.
That fuckers.
But the postcard list is fully updated, so that should have accurate recipients on the list.
Got my blood, sweat, and tears all over those postcards. Sitting there writing it out for like 6 hours.
But make sure you tune in to next week's award show.
Yeah.
And we'll see you then.
It'll be good. Make sure to vote.